Hi, it's Crystal here. Today I want to talk to you about blame and how that can be damaging for your relationship. And blame is something that comes up time and time again with the couples that I coach for relationship coaching. And there are lots of different types of blame that can play out in relationships, and the particular type of blame I'm talking about today is a type of blame when you blame your partner for your own behaviour. That actually can be quite damaging for the relationship. So what I mean by that is, for example, in a relationship you may get one partner who, when things get tough, when things get really difficult, they withdraw from the other partner. And so by withdraw, what I mean is they shut down, they don't talk, they'll walk out of the room, they'll stonewall, so they won't actually respond to the partner. What then happens is the partner who is shut out will start to become more and more irate, or more and more frustrated, or more and more anxious, and will start to pursue the partner who's withdrawn. And you get this pursue-withdrawer cycle start, where the person withdrawing withdraws, the person pursuing pursues that person, which makes the withdrawer withdraw even more, which makes the pursuer pursue more, and so forth. So that's one type of behaviour that can play out in a relationship. Just to use as an example for blame, is very often when I see couples in relationship coaching, when we're trying to address a particular behaviour like the withdrawer-pursuer cycle, the blame comes out. And so what will happen is the person withdrawing will say that they're withdrawing in response to their partner's behaviour. So an example could be if they say, during confrontation or during conflict, my partner becomes quite angry and aggressive in tone, and that makes me withdraw. Or arguments always escalate very quickly, and so I withdraw to avoid that confrontation. And so what they will say is, my partner is too aggressive and shouts all the time and doesn't listen, and so I'm only withdrawing because they can't communicate properly. Now what happens when you start to blame is that the other partner will feel attacked, they'll feel the need to defend themselves, and when they do that, what they'll do is they will find a reason to blame the withdrawer. So if it's the pursuer, in response to that will say, the only reason I'm pursuing and I'm getting angry and frustrated is because you completely shut me out, and it's all your fault, because actually if you didn't withdraw in the first place and you actually listened to me, then I wouldn't need to raise my voice, or I wouldn't need to pursue you, and I wouldn't need to follow you around from room to room. And so can you see it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation, because neither partner's really taking responsibility for what's going on. So that's just one way where behaviour can be passed between partners in terms of blame, so you end up having a kind of blame tennis match going on. The problem with blame is it's a losing game, because if we have a certain behaviour, if we employ a certain behaviour in any area of our life, it's always in response to something. You know, there's always cause and effect. That's the natural law. It's cause and effect, that if something happens, we will respond to it. And we can't be in control of all of those things that we're responding to. We can't be in control of those triggers that elicit a certain behaviour from us. Of course we can't. We can't completely control our environment. We certainly can't control our partner. But the problem with blaming your partner for your behaviour is that it just becomes a losing game, because I think what we tend to do is, if we're acting inappropriately or unfairly in our relationship, what we do by using blame and blaming our partner for our behaviour, we're actually in some way trying to justify behaviour that maybe we feel that we're justified in using, and so we use that as a way to justify that to our partner. The problem is it doesn't justify our behaviour, because we are in control of our behaviour as individuals. Your partner's not in control of your behaviour. It's absolutely impossible for them to be in control of your behaviour in a normal, healthy relationship. Your partner does not have responsibility over how you act. So how you act is a choice. How you feel isn't a choice, and there is an important distinction. So you might feel something in relation to a particular trigger, but how you and you don't have necessarily a choice over whether you feel angry, jealous, scared, sad, happy. That feeling will just be a truth. That feeling is just what it is, and there's no point worrying about whether you should have that feeling or not, because that feeling is absolutely your truth and you're entitled to that, and it's completely valid, even if it doesn't make rational sense. But the key thing to understand about behaviour is you do have a choice as to how you behave in relation to that emotion. And if your response is constantly to, when there's a sign of conflict, to constantly withdraw immediately, it might elicit a response in your partner who will want to try and pursue you. So what you each have to do is take responsibility for the way that you manage your feelings in your relationship, so how you manage those triggers, how you manage that behaviour. Because emotion is not fact, and I think when we get stuck in blame cycles and we go from one partner to the other playing blame tennis, what's actually really happening is that you're getting stuck on the fact. So if you say things like you always, you never, these big globalizations, it's like a global language and it's very black and white, then your partner will always find a time to dispute that. Your partner will always find the time that they did do that or they didn't do that. They will always come back with something. You know, if you say you always do this, your partner will either deny that or say, well, you always do this and it's your fault that I'm doing that in the first place. And so you get kind of stuck in this kind of conflict pattern of just blame, and it's completely fruitless because the whole time you're talking about the facts, and the facts might even be incorrect, or you know, the facts as told through your version of events, which will be different from your partner's. What's not going on is the real, you're not really getting to the core of the issue, which is the underlying emotion beneath those facts. And that's the key, and that's where the gold is. When you can actually discuss how you're feeling with your partner in an open and honest way without getting stuck on the specifics of the facts or without getting stuck in the blame cycle, that's where the real communication can begin. Because when you're talking about emotions, if you remember their truths, then your partner can't deny those feelings. Your partner can't tell you that you don't feel a certain way, and they can't tell you that you do feel a certain way. So actually, when you're having an honest communication about how you're actually feeling in your relationship in response to your partner's behaviour, rather than saying, you make me do this because you do X, and so you do X and I do Y, if you instead say, when you do X, I feel hurt, angry, anxious, sad, whatever feeling comes up for you, and what I want to be different is, and whatever it is that you want them to change about their behaviour. You're actually having a fruitful conversation because you're not accusing them of anything. You're just actually saying, when you employ this particular behaviour, I have this emotional response. That means you're using I language. I feel this way, not you make me feel this way, I feel this way. And when you do this, I feel this way and I become upset, and what I would like you to do is, and so tell them what you would like them to do differently, because actually then there's a value to why you're telling them how you're feeling. And if your partner can do the same with you, that's the most open and honest way you can start to communicate with each other. It's really, really essential that you don't get stuck as to who's right and who's wrong, because nobody's right and nobody's wrong when it comes to feelings, because as I said, feelings are just what they are. So blame, I think Brené Brown actually said that blame is just a way of discharging emotion. And actually, you can see how you can get into these blame cycles, but actually a much healthier way is to express the actual emotion in the first place. And that means you need to be able to be in tune with your emotions, to be able to recognise when you're triggered, to understand what it is about your partner's behaviour that has triggered you, so that you can then express that to them, you can articulate that to them, but using the power of I, so it's using I language. So when you do X, Y and Z, when you withdraw, when you stop talking to me, when you leave the room when we're talking, I feel anxious. And then I feel the need to then pursue you. And, you know, on the other side of saying that would be, you know, when you pursue me, or when we start to have conflict, I start to feel anxious because you start to raise your voice. And when you start to raise your voice, I feel the need to protect myself. And so it might seem like I'm withdrawing. Very different conversation altogether. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you and your partner get stuck in blame cycles where you feel like you're going round and round in circles and you're just playing blame tennis and you're not really getting to the heart of the issue, or you come away from conflict feeling like you haven't really resolved anything, that the emotion gets more and more intense and you kind of feel frustrated that you're not really listening to each other? And would you like more guidance on how to communicate effectively so that actually you can come away from conflict feeling as though it's actually been fruitful, like there's been a purpose to it, and actually you've started to collaborate and resolve an issue rather than fighting against each other? If you do, then I have a free communication guide that you can download from my website, which is www.crystalwoodbridge.com. That's KRYSTAL woodbridge.com. I'm going to put a link to this beneath this video as well, so that you can just click on the link to download that. And it's completely free, and it gives you all the key principles and skills that you need to communicate more effectively with your partner. And actually for this week, for a limited time only, I'm actually giving away free 20-minute relationship coaching discovery calls where you can actually book a session with me, and I will call you at a pre-arranged time and we can talk about your particular relationship issues and what it is that I can do to help you with that. So it's only free for a limited time just this week, and it's for the first 10 people to book in only. So do get in and book your appointment so that you don't miss out on that. If there's anything that you would like me to talk about that I'm not talking about, then please just contact me and let me know, and I can create a video especially for you, or create a blog post especially for you if that's something you'd like me to do. Really look forward to hearing from you soon, and take care for now. Bye.